Do not go gentle into that good night.
Now as I
Old
was
age
young and
should
easy
burn
under the
and
apple
rave
boughs,
about the lilting house, and happy as the grass was
winter's
green.
tale,
The night
that the
above
snow-blind
the
twilight,
when their bones are picked
ferries
clean and the
over the
clean
lakes
bones
are
gone,
floating.
they shall have stars at
This
elbow
night I
and
walk
foot.
in the white giant's thigh, where barren as
I
boulders
may without
lie.
fail
Do not
suffer
go
the
gentle
first
into that
vigil
good night.
that set fire.
Rage, rage against the dying of the light.
It's very appropriate that the Dylan Thomas Centre is based here in Swansea, as it's the town of Dylan's birth and the place that inspired so much of his work. Dylan Thomas Centre opened in 1995. It was opened by former US President Jimmy Carter, and it's a fantastic international resource for all those interested in Dylan Thomas, his life and his work. We attract visitors from all over the world, but we're also a very important resource for the local community.
Well, the Heritage Lottery Fund is privileged to be able to distribute about £375 million a year. And what we do is respond to what communities put forward to us as parts of the heritage that are important to them. And in that context, we're running a programme which is particularly focused on anniversaries, because these great milestones can be ways in to people to celebrate their heritage and inspire themselves for the future.
My own discovery of Dylan Thomas came in my early 30s, just after my mum died and my son was born. I realised it was time to learn much more about my grandfather, so I started reading the poetry, the stories, the broadcasts, listening to recordings, learning about his life, reading as many biographies as possible. And the more I learnt, the more interested I became, and the more I delved into it. But I suddenly discovered that actually there was a generation, my generation, that didn't know Dylan Thomas and didn't know the work, and I felt very passionate that it was my responsibility to work with different people to ensure my grandfather's legacy continued. So it's been a journey of discovery, but also a strong desire to tell people more about my grandfather.
Dylan Thomas was responsible for introducing me to the English language, not in the literal sense, in a more literary sense. He was my introduction to what the English language could be beyond a simple means of communication.
Well, Dylan Thomas is important to Wales because he was one of the great Welsh writers in the English language, and he added so much to the canon of English literature around the world. It's important, of course, to have a centre in Swansea, the city that he was most associated with, where he was born. That's good for Swansea and good, of course, for Wales.
The Dylan Thomas exhibition tells the story of Dylan's life and work, and it explores some of his cultural connections with people like the Swansea Cardoma gang and also people like Igor Stravinsky and Charlie Chaplin. We have manuscripts, films, audio recording, portraits, and many, many documents for people to explore and discover. Alongside the exhibition, we run a year-round programme of literary events, culminating in the annual Dylan Thomas Festival, which runs from his birthday on the 27th of October through to the 9th of November, the anniversary of his death.
The grant will allow them to get an education officer to work with schools, to work with community centres, to work with the YMCA on different projects, so they can learn about Dylan Thomas, but also for there to be programmes in Dylan Thomas's name. And the other thing which is really key is that hopefully we're going to now have an outreach worker, and that outreach worker will work with all the Dylan Thomas communities around Wales and use my grandfather's name to inspire people, to use my grandfather as an example, and to allow projects to happen for children that are disengaged, for art projects, for a huge number of different things. So it's very exciting.
As an actor, I've been involved in celebrating the works and achievements of historical figures throughout my career, and someone of his iconic and international stature deserves this investment, which will elevate Wales's rich literary heritage to another level on the international stage.
The importance of the centre for me is to safeguard his work for future generations to come, so that the sort of, not just youngsters in Wales, but everywhere can, I hope, have the same kind of literary excitement in reading his work that I certainly did.
The I'm Dylan Thomas project is a way to get all the young people in Swansea work together in creating a brand new play. So we're going to have elements of script writing, theatre workshops, as well as music, lyrics. Everything's going to be brand new, all done by the young people working with the team here at YMCA.
He did one of his first performances in Swansea's YMCA Theatre, so obviously it'll be good to do a new performance of Dylan Thomas in the theatre where he did one of his first performances.
This project will involve the young people developing a piece of work about the relevance of Dylan Thomas to them today. It'll involve a variety of media, from rap to music to film to artwork. And I think it's something that's very appropriate, as Dylan Thomas himself used all the media that were available to him and was also interested in various other art forms.
We done like a little conversation around Dylan Thomas and about his history. It really inspired me.
Some of our young people don't know a lot of Dylan Thomas's work, so it's important that we get them to find out about it, and then they can express that in their own way. And we don't want to tell them what's right or wrong. We want them to bring their influence to it and hopefully create something really new and exciting.
It's really important that young people are able to understand Dylan Thomas's legacy, and also, of course, to get inspiration from what he did. Here was a young man from Swansea who became one of the most well-known poets in the English-speaking world. And it's important that young people draw inspiration from that and follow their own ambitions. And who knows, we might well see many more Dylan Thomases in the future.
Dylan Thomas in his day was part of a circle of poets and authors and musicians and artists who drew their inspiration very widely from global cultures, and I think it's fantastic that young people who are part of this project today will also be able to set their sights high and realise that there is no limit to their imagination.
Llongyfarchiadau i ganolfan Dylan Thomas ar dderbyn y grant sylweddol hwn gan gronfa drefdadaeth y loteri.
Congratulations to the Dylan Thomas Centre on receiving this substantial grant from the Heritage Lottery Fund, which will ensure that his rich legacy continues in Wales and on the international stage.
I'd like to congratulate the Centre on the grant they've received from the Heritage Lottery Fund, and I know that money will be put to good use.
This grant will provide us with a world-class facility to inform people about Dylan Thomas, his life, his work and his legacy. We'll be able to develop a programme of community and learning events that can be accessed by people of all ages across Swansea.
It's fantastic that the Dylan Thomas Centre have got this grant, especially in 2014, the centenary of my grandfather's birth. What I hope now is that the Dylan Thomas Centre can become the hub of all Dylan Thomas related activities, and they can promote Dylan Thomas and Wales throughout the UK and on the international stage.